Fáilte chur ribh gach aine atá baile anseo ar ócáid speisialta ag ceiliúradh our Cuoineachán the Mínadóirí na Héireann. So I'd like to welcome everyone here today to our special event celebrating the Leadville Irish Miners Memorial. We are here in what was once known as Little Ireland of Colorado. It's incredible to see who all has come here from far and wide today. I'd like to make note of our Irish consul, Micheál Smith, from the San Francisco Consulate. Our honorary Irish consul who is here, Jim Lyons. And we have the Mayor of Leadville, Greg Labbe. And we also have the State Representative for Lake County, Julie McCluskey. And right in front we have Cassandra from the Ute Nation as well, going to give a blessing later on. So it's been 6 years since we first had a commemoration on this site. At the time, we just laid a wreath on the location just to mark the day. And here we are today. This was my first time actually seeing this completed. And I got quite choked up coming in here, and I know others did too. So I'm going to try and hold it together. It's like, you know, I don't have anyone connected to me buried in these graves, but from the time we spent over the last 6 years, this kind of labor of love has kind of become deep in our heart. It's a massive undertaking to complete. This is just the celebration of the completion of phase 1 of this memorial. And we were very fortunate to get a third grant from the Irish government. We have temporary panels here, but in next year, in 2023, we will complete them with glass panels. I would like to start by just thanking all the people who have played a part in this. And my apologies if I haven't included everyone, but I'd first like to thank the steering committee. Lisa Switzer, Tess Julian, and Mark De La Torre at the back, stand up. Kathleen Fitzsimmons, right here. Professor Jim Walsh, and I was tagging along as well. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank all the other directors in Irish Network Colorado who were available to assist whenever we needed over the years. I don't believe our landscape designer, Barnabas Kane, is here, but he gave a lot of his own time pro bono to help with this project from the very beginning, so we thank him. But a special word of thanks to two people in particular this summer who went above and beyond to make this what we are seeing today a reality. And that's Mark De La Torre and Luke Finken. So, up till yesterday evening, Mark was here. He was here all day yesterday working on these panels. And they did, I mean, Luke almost became a general contractor here over the summer. And, you know, we were down in Denver and he was up here making sure everything was going to plan and coordinating it all. So we really appreciate all that work you did. There was a number of local organizations that were instrumental with in-kind donations of various types over the past few years. I'd like to thank Mayor Labbe and the City of Leadville, who anytime we asked were right there for us. Leadville City Council, Leadville Streets Department, Lake County Road and Bridge, Lake County Government, Climax Molybdenum Mine, and in particular the Chief Engineer, Chris Smith, who sadly passed away in December of last year before he could see this completed, and this big rock that they were responsible for from Climax. Leadville Lake County Public Library, Leadville's Annunciation Church, the Friends of Evergreen Cemetery, and the Leadville Shack Club. So we thank them all. To the man who designed our centerpiece, Terry Brennan in Wicklow, who I think would love to be here for any kind of an event like this, an excuse to come from Ireland back to Colorado. He sculpted the centerpiece, and also to Bronze Services of Loveland, who realized Terry's vision. Then to all our donors who gave so generously, and in particular to Noel Hickey, who is sitting here in the front row. He organised annual black tie galas to bring in much needed funds for the project. And on this day, I would like to also acknowledge Noel's mother, Mary, who passed away just on Thursday evening. Yeshde Gareva Hanan Deelish. To the Irish government, Ambassador Mulhall, and the Irish Consulate in Austin, who have been unreal supporters of us since its inception, since Consul General Adrian Farrell visited here almost exactly 6 years ago. We have benefited from 3 grants as part of the Immigrant Support Programme, and the third of which I described is going to help us over the line to complete this project. So I want to thank you. A round of applause for our Irish representatives. To Professor Jim Walsh, whose tireless 20 years of research into the Leadville Irish is one of the main reasons why we are all here today. And to his students, who've done tireless research into finding out who exactly were the people buried in these unmarked graves. And I want to make it known that all of our donors, both financial and in kind, will be permanently acknowledged in 2023 as we complete phase 2 of this project. Finally, the event today is missing one larger-than-life character, someone who had deep knowledge of the Irish in Denver and was so supportive of this project. And anytime Irish Network Colorado asked for someone to come on a historical walk somewhere in Denver of a cemetery, Dennis Gallagher was right there. Dennis was to many people many different things. To us, he was a lovable rogue. And if he was here today, he would be passing a witty anecdote. He would make mention of Senator Joseph Gallagher, who was no relation, he made sure. He died in an explosion at the Meyer mine. But so we have 2 Gallagher's ghosts here with us today. And Laba Imasna Nev Gorevige. May he have a bed amongst the saints. So with that, I'd like to introduce Irish Consul General Micheál Smith.
Thanks, Alan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Gia Yiv Akarja. Hello, friends. It's an honour for me to be here representing the Irish government, along with Honorary Consul Jim Lyons, and this page is gone. To be here to unveil phase 1 of this remarkable memorial. I was very grateful, I'm very grateful to have been shown around this area by Kathleen yesterday. It's hard not to be struck by the peace, the beauty and the tragedy of this area. And it's hard not to imagine and bring yourself back to a place where the miners find themselves, so many miners from across the world find themselves many years ago. Many of the Irish had fled here in the long aftermath of the Great Famine and Gorta Mór. To come here, many desperately seeking survival. Some succeeded, and as we all know, many perished. Many had to bury spouses, siblings, parents, and children in this plot. And I'm sure many of them would have been desperately disappointed to have had buried their children and their family in plots that were unmarked and in a free area. That would have added, I'm sure, to the anguish that they had felt. These facts underline the preciousness of this memorial. These people are now recognised. Their struggles, their sacrifices, their odyssey in this world is recognised here. You should be very proud of what you've achieved. Everyone here should be very proud of what is achieved, of the legacy that you have developed and created. Not just the legacy from the 19th century, but a legacy that will last beyond that for another century and beyond. I want to thank you all, and Alan has gone through all the key players, but it's a community event. It's the Irish community, it's the Leadville community, it's the Colorado community. I want to thank you all for all your help in making this a success and developing this memorial. Thanks to Mayor Gregg. I was told yesterday that you may not have found any Irish sort of heritage, but I can confirm you're an honorary Irishman today. Thank you to the Ute people, the Ute tribe. This is your land. You were here long before us, long before the mining community here. Sandra, I just want to thank you for the dignity and the honour that you've shown towards our people, our peoples here today. Thank you. I read a name, I was given a name by Lisa on Thursday night to read out, and I think it's a wonderful practice that you have at many events, to read out the names of the people here and remember them. Mine was Mabel Lynch. Mabel was born in 1886, and she survived for 1 year. She died in 1887. That 1-year-old would never, and may never have been remembered, if not for Jim, for everyone here that has been involved in it. The fact is now that her light and the light of these numerous names up in this memorial will shine here because of you. Guramidama Huggett, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michal. So there were 10 names given to 10 people here today, 10 people who were buried in the unmarked graves. And if you have one of these names, you should see a number from 1 to 10. So starting from 1, we would like you to stand up, read the name and some of the other details on that card. So number 1.
Francis Flannery, born 1875, died 1883, 8 years old.
Number 2. We continue.
Welsh, born 1856, died January 22nd, 1884, 28 years old.
Catherine Dugan, born 1864, died November 22nd, 1881, 17 years old. James Madden, born 1856, died September 1884, 28 years old.
Infant Cyril, born August 19th, 1887, died August 19th, 1887, stillborn child.
Hannah O'Brien, born 1849, died May 31st, 1883, 34-year-old adult.
Agnes McCarthy, born 1885, died March 30th, 1886, 6 months old.
Ellen Sullivan, born 1838, died June 10th, 1888, 50 years old, an adult.
Infant Quinlan, born July 31st, 1886, died July 31st, 1886, stillborn.
Sophia Houghton, born 1832, died January 9th, 1887. She was 55 years old and an adult.
We remember them, and we remember all of the over 1,300 people who were buried in unmarked graves, who were forgotten, but not forever evermore. I would like to introduce Mayor Labby to say a few words.
Thank you, Alan. To start with, I can't tell you how honored I am to be part of this ceremony. The city of Leadville has done what little it can to try and make this happen. There have been tremendous efforts, but for us to be included, I really do appreciate it, so thank you. I was reflecting on the beauty around us. We have this beautiful day, we have beautiful trees and mountains, and it makes me wonder, what did the first Irish immigrants think when they came here? I mean, the Barrow Peninsula, Leadville, the same, right? No, I mean, they're worlds apart. So that had to be a bit of a culture shock for them to begin with. And they came it's a beautiful place, but they came to a harsh environment. I think we forget that. I think that we celebrate, as I think is appropriate, the wealth that came out of these mountains. But I think sometimes we forget, frankly, the difficulty and pure misery that existed during that time for a lot of people, especially miners and their families, and especially as they survived through the winters. They lived and died here. And that's why we're here today. The living, many of them did just fine, and they prospered. And when the silver played out, I think they all headed for Butte, Montana. But we're here to honor those who are here who have been unnamed over all these many years. Thanks to the tremendous efforts of Jim Walsh, Professor Walsh. So I'm trying to think about what have we learned? What have I learned from this? The Irish brought something, and I'll also say this probably applies to every immigration group that ever came to America. But the Irish brought us toughness and resilience. And they brought us their culture, which has resonated around the world, but especially in the United States. So what I would say in conclusion is the Irish changed America for the better. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to my colleagues here who we've all worked so hard over the years. It's so hard to know how to put words to something, isn't it? When you're asked to speak, how do you even do that? Like put words to this. There's a beautiful African proverb. It says there's two stages of death. The first stage is the Sasha. It's people who have physically passed. But the living still tell their story. And according to the proverb, those people are still alive. The second stage is the Zamani, people who have physically passed, and the living no longer tell their story. And the proverb says those are the true dead. So what we are doing here is holding people in the Sasha. And that matters, doesn't it? So the Irish Times yesterday referred to this as the lost Irish. And I suppose there's a truth to that. These are the lost Irish. And it has felt like a kind of a reclaiming of them. I'm really proud to be here. I'm proud of this day. I'm proud of my colleagues I've worked with. I'm proud of everyone who's worked over the years. My students have done the research. Some of them are here today. Anne, would you raise your hand in the back? And spent her summer digging through primary historical sources to learn about the lives of every woman buried here. The population we knew the least about. She's now, she'll be publishing about that, about her research. The interns with Project Children that compiled the names years ago. We're proud of the work that they did. Everyone, it's just been unbelievable. And so a couple things I want to say today, and then we'll be able to just celebrate. I'm with a good friend of mine, Sean McKernan. You see him right here with his camera. Sean's a pretty famous photographer from the Falls Road of Belfast, and he took many of the iconic photos of the Troubles there when he was a teenager. We just did a big exhibit in Denver. In Belfast, there's this thing called the Wall of Solidarity. It's near the Falls Road, and on the Wall of Solidarity, there are flags and murals to struggles all over the world that the people of Belfast have said, that's our struggle too. So when you visit the Wall of Solidarity, you gain an education about the globe, about the world. I'd like to see this is a space of reflection. You see our friends here sitting there. This is what's going to be happening. People will be coming here for discernment and reflection. I think this will be a space of solidarity. This will be our own space of solidarity in the spirit of what's happening in what's happened in Belfast. There's murals to Martin Luther King, murals to struggles all over the world, murals to Indigenous leaders in North America. And you can't help but walk away from that knowing that the Irish story is a universal story. And so, in a strange time, I was watching the news this morning, getting ready to come here and realizing that the world's upside down, but here we are trying to turn it right side up. Tens of thousands of people are in line to honor a monarchy, and we're here to honor the poor. This is a radical act. Migrants are being used as political pawns today, shipped and bused to cities and dumped in the middle of cities for political purposes. We're here to honor migrants. And this is a joyful day for me, and I know for everyone. And it was wonderful to hear those names. Because when you honor the poorest of the poor, you're doing something radical. You're shaking like the rafters. You're challenging people to see the world differently. So the reference that haunts me stays with me still to this day. Where we're naming people who are unnamed in the cemetery, but we've discovered that there's people who are unnamed in the cemetery and in the records. So listen to this reference, which will stay with me forever and will be on the glass, the permanent glass panels. Unknown, Mexican, killed on railroad. Mayor Gregg said what they must have felt when they arrived here, those Irish immigrants. Well, guess what? A professor in Galway, who I met this summer, he sent me a trove of letters he's collected his whole life from a group of miners, Irish miners here in Leadville, writing to their family in Donegal in the early 1880s. So here it is. Here's the words, everyone, of the people we're honoring. Leadville, Colorado, February 11th, 1880. I am up on the top of the Rocky Mountains where they are digging gold and silver. Wages are from 12 to 16 shillings a day. I like this place except for one thing. It is too cold. We have snow here 8 months in the year. In some places, it never leaves. The people are dying fast here. When they get sick, they don't live any more than 2 or 3 days. The report is here that the people are dying in Ireland with the hunger. There was a large sum of money collected here for the relief of Ireland. So you will find in this letter the sum of 20 pounds. Let yous not be in need of anything as long as I have it. If I'm living and well and in good health, I will be there with you before this time next year. The rate fare from here to there is 18 pounds, from New York to here $65. Write as soon as possible and let me know how is times there. Tell Hannah McGinley that her uncle is here with us and tell her to come this road. He lives next door. We are not a bit sorry at our journey. Let me know who got married there since I left, and how's the landlord getting along. Dan is out here in Colorado since 20th of June, and he seems to like the country good enough. He's working right along since he came here. He didn't commence working underground yet. Times is a little duller now than they have been. Dan seems to like to take a drink of whiskey once in a while, but he told me that he won't drink another drop as long as he's here in this country. I received your kind letter about that piece of land that you were talking about. You can do as you please about it. I don't want no land in Ireland. If I want land there, there's plenty of land here. I don't know how things will turn out here until after New Year's. If they don't turn out well, I will be over there by the 1st of February. Dan as well, but got the same habits he done there. Dennis left last June, and he did not tell us that he was going away, nor did we know where he was going for 5 months after leaving here. I had a letter from him 2 weeks ago that he is in Montana. Let us know who got, write as soon as possible and let me know if the money made it all right, the sum of 20 pounds. No more to say at present. I send my love. Best respects to you all. Michael McGee, Leadville, Colorado, Lake County. And this is the response of his parents. My dear Michael, I have received your letter and was glad to hear of your all being well, and it leaves us at present. We have excellent weather here since you left, and the potatoes will be better than they looked when you left. There's no rotten in the late potatoes as yet, but they're small in size to what they used to be, but may get bigger yet. We haven't regular harvest here yet until next week, so got the flax bruised and got it in. No more at present from your old parents. Remain your father till death. Wishing you a good harvest and a safe return. Sorry, this is, and then one more. This is a response from the cousins. There was a group of cousins that were here. Dear sister and husband, I would write to you about Mick's death, but Jim told me not to be sending too many troublesome letters. The corpse left Colorado at 6:40 this evening on Christmas Day and was here Friday afternoon. It was sorrowful watching for me to be waiting at the depot for Mick's corpse. I had a lonesome Christmas. We took Mick out home that night and he was buried the next day. The corpse remained in the church during Mass and was buried after Mass. We didn't know how Mick stood it there in Colorado. We buried Mick in our own lot for me to be buried right next to him. I thought there's no one like Mick. I was always happy when I would see him coming around the place. I'm sending you the sum of 80 pounds that I made the company give up. There's no money after Mick, and the company didn't want to give it up. All the money Mick had when he got killed, they took off of him. They spent some of it, and they gave the rest up to the judge and everybody to be paid for his trouble. There will be nothing left. Times are dull here. All of the banks in Leadville are busted. I would sooner be out of here. And I am going out through the mountains next month in search of a better place for the summer. And when I get settled there, I might send for Hugh Dugan. He wants to come out here the worst way. No more to say at present, but remain yours truly, Michael McGee. My dear colleague and sister in this effort for years, Kathleen Fitzsimmons, who first took me here 18 years ago.
Woo! Have to have props. Hello. I don't know how to follow up the words of the miners, so I'll try with my own. Thank you so much for being here and giving up some Saturday time to join us here. You chose wisely. It's a fabulous day. It's a beautiful space. Everybody around here has the smiling faces who just radiate the love and the care that everybody named behind us deserves. You are entering our sacred space and celebrating phase 1 of our memorial completion. It was several years ago that Lisa, Jim, and Luke and I sat around our table and cheersed each other with this crazy idea of a little memorial. It might be a kiosk. It'd be really cool if we could have a panel. We were very excited about all of those things. We started to talk very quickly about all the symbolism that could be so powerful in the memorial. And the one symbol that came through and up again in our conversations was the symbol of a spiral. So as you walk in and enter this memorial, you will come in on a spiral. And like life, you will not go out the same way you came in. So you will come in through the spiral, walk up to our memorial and then leave through the back, which will walk you back down again and out into the graves. The spiral is a shape that transcends so many cultures, and it is also captured on the rock art that is across Mount Elbert from the Native Americans who would summer here and winter and hunt and enjoy beautiful days like today. So it's only fitting that we start with a spiral. As you walk through the spiral, we have some lessons to learn from geology. We have beautiful rounded rocks, worn smooth by the Arkansas River, thinking of the power of a drop of water to make something that could be pointy and harsh, very smooth, delicate, and symmetrical. As you continue to walk up, you will see on the plinth where our statue is, it's surrounded by slag, which is the result of smelting process of the minerals to get all of the precious ores out of there. And then the slag is left over. It's very heavy, might look like iron, and it is a lesson to us of what can come through heat and adversity. And then on top of our plinth, we have our miner. I'm not going to describe him too much because he's beautiful in his own way, and you get to see him with your own eyes. He has his hand on his miner's pick, and he has his hand on the symbol of Ireland, the harp. And he's looking over a 14,000 piece of climax quartzite, which just saw sunlight for the first time last February. So we have the old, the newer, and the newest rocks coming to greet us. The climax quartzite has veins of molybdenum. You'll see glints of iron pyrite and so many beautiful bits. There might even be some fluorite in there, showing the celebration that geology can give us. As you drop out of our spiral, you can be guided toward the graves. You'll notice them because they are the depressions in the ground. As the folks were buried here in their pine boxes, they long rotted away and left a depression. You'll also notice large rock piles next to them, where if you've ever dug in the Rocky Mountains, you know why we are named the Rocky Mountains. And each one of those rocks that came out is put on the borrow pile next to it. If they were lucky enough to get a chevron of wood that might have their name, you might see them over there. Some of the names are still preserved because of the lead-based paint that didn't quite erode as fast as the wood. But most of them, their memorials, their markers, are long gone. As you walk among the graves, you'll see some pathways, some interpretive signs, and we encourage you to take as much time as you can, any time of year, on snowshoe or on foot, to come and visit them. I would like to express the gratitude and the honor that we have of being here. The family and friends who are gathered here are truly humbling in the collective efforts that everybody has their fingerprints on this memorial. It loses speech. There are no words for it. The last bit that you might notice about Liam, who is our sculpture up here, is that he is facing to the northeast. He's looking over his rock toward Ireland. And if you look at the expression on his face, you might see some sadness, you might see some hope, you might see a smile. And I feel like each time I come and I look at Liam's face, there's something else reflected in it. So I'm so excited that it's here, and you're here, and we get to recognize this sacred space, and you get to enjoy it, and come back whenever you can, because it will always teach us something new. Fundamentally, the people who are buried there want the exact same thing that you and I both do. We want to leave the world better for our children and our nieces and nephews. And we want to make our parents and our family proud. And I feel like this is one more step to be able to give them that honor, because in doing this, we are helping make their families proud again and making the world better for their children. I'm ever so grateful for now. Ask my compatriots. We're going to go back up the spiral and pull off the coverings and unveil our memorial up there, and then Cassandra is going to grace us with a blessing of this place, as is befitting for the people who are marked here. Thank you.
friends, we're very honored to be joined today by Cassandra Atencio from the Southern Ute Nation. We're trying to be intentional about continuing an important historical tie between Ireland and Indigenous North Americans that started really with the gift the Choctaw people gave during the famine. Do you all know that story? What would today be the equivalent of thousands of dollars and probably saved hundreds of lives, the Choctaw people. And there's a beautiful eagle feather memorial in County Cork to remember that. And so we reached out to the Southern Ute Nation to build a relationship and honor that this is Ute land. And Cassandra has driven here many hours from the southwest part of the state to be in solidarity with us. And we're very honored by that. So she's going to do a blessing of this memorial. And we ask you to please not film the blessing. Thank you.
Could we have a round of applause for Cassandra? That was a very moving blessing. Thank you so much. And as Mayor Labe says, we are not honoring our people, but our peoples. We're almost finished with the ceremony, just a couple of more things. We're going to have Ashton Rourke play a couple of pieces on the harp, which is the national symbol of Ireland, and we have it here in the centerpiece. It's to symbolize, the culture and heritage that they brought here. We're even going to be speaking Irish in Leadville after the parade to commemorate that they brought their language, their culture, their heritage here, and we are celebrating that here today. And finally, I know this is significant for Lisa there. Just wanted to end with a couple of words from W.B. Yeats, which symbolize what we'll be doing afterwards when we walk through the graves. I spread the cloths underneath your feet, but I, being poor, have only my dreams. I spread my dreams underneath your feet. Tread softly, for you tread on my dreams.